At 9 o'clock on Wednesday morning each week in Wigan, striking miners' families begin to line up near the town hall for free food. The support group here is now handing out nearly 1,000 food parcels each week. Each family gets a bag containing eggs, lard, margarine, peas, baked beans, fresh vegetables and tea. With winter coming and the added cost of heating and lighting, many miners' families say they just can't afford to buy enough food.
I've no money coming in. There's been a single bloke, you know. I think I'd starve without these food parcels.
See, we should get £25 a week, but they take £15 out strike, thinking we're getting that strike money, which we're not. So really, from Social Security, they should give us 25, but they take that £15 away, which leaves me with £7.19 to live on.
For the past 2 months, the purchase and delivery of the food has been organised by the charity War on Want, using funds raised by Manchester City Council. But that money has run out. Today, though, the first lorry load of Russian food arrived, released after 2 weeks by British Customs. This delivery from Soviet miners included a ton of rice, sugar, canned green beans and celery salt.
This Russian food's going to keep us going for a while until that sorts itself out. At the moment, it's just a very week-to-week basis.
So it's here in the nick of time?
It is, yeah, definitely. We needed it this week.
The support groups say they'll find enough food somehow to keep going until the end of the dispute, however long that may be. Robin Staniforth, ITN, Wigan.
Christmas time in 84, because it was 84, 85, when people, obviously, they'd been on strike since March. And of course, Christmas come along, and I think they were bribed with all kinds of offers from NCB, saying to you like, you know, we're not going to close, and you know, it's all lies and myths, and offering you so much money if you went back, and lots of them did. I couldn't blame them.
That Christmas, upsetting, because we couldn't buy the kids any toys. Christmas is all about the children, isn't it, at Christmas? But we got presents and money from family and friends. Having said that, you found out who we friends and, you know, who wasn't.
There was an awful lot of negative feedback about the miners' strike, and there seemed to be more support for people who were not on strike than the ones who were on strike.
Well, initially you used to get really, really annoyed. You know the stories weren't true, but you knew the press and the TV only showed the police and government side of the story. But it was on the point of being a police state.
I think from my point of view, the lowest point of the strike was when there was an article getting towards the end, when it was on the news very early morning about these concrete blocks being thrown off a motorway bridge.
Dean Hancock, Russell Shankland and Anthony Williams went up the hill to the bridge under which David Wilkie's taxi would pass. But Hancock and Shankland heaved a block of concrete and a steel and concrete post at the car as it passed in a police convoy. 46 pounds of concrete hit Mr. Wilkie, crushing his chest and tearing his heart and lungs.
Most of the media is based in the southeast of England, and most of the media are public school educated. So in a way they can't help how they feel, but in another way they are giving biased opinions, and they are towing the party line, which was the Conservative Party line. And they didn't, for example, report anything about pits being shut that were economically viable.
The local press, I think, was covering good and bad things. The national, you get the Sun newspapers and all that, when you read them the day after, you were thinking, they haven't been to the same place I'd been. They were picking, I think they were just saying things thought like get the outsiders, the people who didn't work in the industry, thinking, well, what are they going on strike for? What are they doing this for? You know, I think they just want to put something in to show the miners up.
We'd gone on a march in Hyde Park, and we was pretty enough near to the front of this march, and banners, people from all over the country. But it was all going down to this march, and we was in Hyde Park, and we was probably about 200 people back to the beginning, and then we started marching, and I remember firemen, ambulance men, nurses, everyone clapping as we marched, and our banner, like there was one banner, Lancashire, Parkside, you know, and they was all clapping, and I couldn't believe that the support that was there. There was helicopters overhead, and then on the news, when we you know, it obviously was on the TV, but on the news it said there weren't a quarter of what was there. Now Hyde Park's 5 mile square all round about, and we'd walk round this and come back on to the park, and there was people still queuing up to go off. Hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people.
British Coal had plans, and they had many meetings behind closed doors on how to get the miners back to work. And we, as trade union activists, used to talk to the men and tell them, or persuade them why they should stay out. And the majority of them did to the end. But the coal boats tactics got some men to go back to work. At Sutton Manor, in Lancashire, Agecroft was a classic. It was never off the media, Agecroft, because the majority of Agecroft men carried on working throughout the strike, and they played on that to get more men back to work, and they used unsavoury tactics to get men back to work by picking them up at a point like the motorway car parks. The buses would pick them up there and then bus them into, you know, your Bold, Sutton Manor. But at Bold and Sutton Manor, they were a minority. At places like Agecroft, there was the majority.
The police, you know, they're supposed to be there at Barney strike to protect the pickets, but they also antagonised the miners on the picket line, you know, and where they spoke to them, where they pushed them along, in Goulburn in particular, they marched down 2x2, as like army do, he expected army. It's quite frightening, really. Pushed us at one side of road, opposite pit gates at Goulburn, then realised they were blocking roadway and pushed us all back. And we didn't retaliate, we did as we were told. And of course you had the law where you only have 6 legal pickets who are allowed to stand on as officials, and the rest was illegal. That's how the law portrayed us. And they wasn't very nice. And they were like flashing the wages at you. And it was antagonistic. You know, there was on megabucks in those days, and you was on nothing. They were horrible. And a lot of trouble probably was boiled down to the way they handled it at local level.
Well, somebody was going to get hurt, weren't they? And I remember my husband telling me they were coming in that fast, those drivers, that one policeman who was there slipped and nearly went under wheels. No, it was miners who pulled him out. But you didn't see that at paper. Now, that policeman did come back and thank these men who got him out, but you didn't see that at paper, did you?
Yeah, the tactics in the 84 strike, it was an en masse tactic. You know, the previous strikes, there were very, very few police involved. unless you look at Orgreave and places like that with a lot of policemen. But in the '84 strike, they had to win. The government had to win. It was all or nothing. So they were going to throw absolutely everything at the miners, lock, stock, and 2 smoking barrels. That was it. And in one occasion, I was actually at the colliery. I wasn't there at the time, but when I went to the union office later on, they said this guy had seen his son get out of a police van. I said, well, what about that? He said, well, his son's in the army and he had a police uniform on. I can't corroborate that. I don't know the guy's son, but he was adamant because as soon as he got out, he saw his dad and he got straight back in the van and he drove off. Now, that was the story going around.
We had people come down from London to join the picket lines. We really didn't know who they were. We couldn't vet them and say, like, who are you, what do you do, where do you live? And the villagers at Sutton Manor took them in and give them a bed and breakfast and things like that. And one of them, we got a phone call one day, an anonymous phone call, that someone from the Sun newspaper had infiltrated your picket line, for want of a better word. Within 48 hours of us getting that phone call, he disappeared. And, he was an activist in London, according to him, and supported the miners and joined us on the picket line, travelled from Sutton Manor to maybe another colliery with Sutton Manor lads, picketing there, and living with one of the elderly ladies who give him a bed and give him breakfast. But he had infiltrated us. But once he got know that we knew, or we were being made aware that he was with us, he disappeared.
Many times when people had gone picketing to, say, Glasson Dock, there was a boatload of coal coming into Glasson Dock up north. They would ring up and say, we're going to Glasson Dock, right, at the union cabin, and the secretary, okay, we'll all meet at Glasson Dock. And then they used to go the opposite direction. They used to go down to Stafford, down to Silverdale or Meath or Lee Hall or somewhere, but all the police were waiting at Glasson Dock. Now, the only way they could have known we were going to be there is by tapping the telephone. And at the time, Leon Britton, oh, no, there's nothing of that going on. We knew it was going on. This earlier dispute, what in '82, no, I don't. I know the wage structuring was changed. At one time, everybody got this, that, whatever they earned, they got. And then they brought in the National Power Loading Agreement, and that guaranteed everybody who worked on the coal face the same rate of pay, whether you worked in Yorkshire or worked in Lancashire or Nottingham, because you couldn't guarantee the same production in Lancashire as you could in Yorkshire because of the faulting, the way the mines are laid out. So the National Power Loading Agreement put everybody on a level playing field, and then they introduced the bonus system, and the bonus system was put on top, so you got paid your National Power Loading Agreement rate and a bonus on top for what you produced. And that is what they gave into what you're talking about straight away, simply because the men deserved to get what they'd earned, or the men thought they would deserve. Now, whether there was an ulterior motive, just give it them, and they're not going to have it long. I don't know what she was thinking, or Michael Heseltine were thinking. I don't think anybody still does know what they think, because you know what I mean. They are what they are, and we've got the legacy.